All right. Here we go. There we go. Hi, guys! Welcome to my little panel, Ableton 101, where I teach you all the basics on how to use Ableton Live. Now, this is my first panel, so I do apologize in advance if I stutter a little bit. And, excuse me. Um, and so, because I tend to really trip over my words, but hopefully I can uh, bring it in a way that's easy and clear to understand. Uh, but I may have to slow down as well at times. But anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So, what is Ableton Live anyway? Well, Ableton Live is a type of software known as a digital audio workstation, or DA, or often abbreviated as DAW or DAW. Uh, Examples of DAWs include Audacity, FL Studio, Bitwig, uh, and of course Ableton Live, and Studio One is another one. But yeah, um, Ableton Live, and so basically, the latter four are geared towards music production, which which what we are going to be doing today. And I started this panel because made a recent switch to Ableton Live, and when discussing it with friends, a lot of them told me that they had a really hard time understanding it and got really frustrated. And even I did so myself when I first started. In fact, the YouTube tutorials were so confusing that I ended up using a Skillshare course to learn the program. But I know that a lot of people can't really afford Skillshare, so I'm hoping to bring you my knowledge for free. And so, without further ado, let's get started. Oh, and fun fact, this is the program Kawaii Sprite uses for Friday Night Funkin' music. Alright, now let's get started. Alright, when you open up this program, you'll notice that it looks a little different from most DAWs. Like, you're probably wondering, where the hell is the timeline? Or, like, why the hell is it all vertical? Well, Ableton Live actually has two views instead of just one that we use. In fact, in fact, you'll understand that these views are actually represented in their logo. Fun fact. And so, alright. So what you start in is the session view. This is kind of the view where we sort of plan out your song. And it's kind of where we like experiment with ideas as well without like having a direct endpoint. And when we click over here or use the keyboard shortcut tab, this is the arrangement view. This is the more traditional timeline layout where we put our song together after we made some ideas. And a lot of the things you could do in the session view, such as creating MIDI clips and placing audio and even recording, can be done in the arrangement view, but is often better done in the session view, depending on which stage you're at. Alright, so now you'll notice that Ableton by default provides two MIDI tracks. Oh yeah, these vertical lines are called tracks, and you'll see that they're horizontal in the arrangement view. Alright, anyway, Ableton by default provides two MIDI tracks, two audio tracks, two return tracks, and the master track. MIDI tracks are basically the tracks that you draw notes on. Like, essentially, it's essentially like the piano roll in FL Studio to a degree. Audio tracks basically let you edit wave files or the wave files of samples. Like for example, vocals or perhaps maybe a sound effect that you found on freesound.org. Alright. And we will discuss the return tracks and the master track a little later, but you'll also notice that these rows right here, you'll see a highlighted row. This is called a scene. And you'll see in the master track that they're all numbered. And by default, Ableton gives you eight of them. And so now we'll utilize their purpose in a little later on. But for now, in order to create a MIDI clip, all you have to do is double click on the slot. And see? Now you'll see this piano roll. And now to draw some notes, you go up here and click on the draw mode, which is like a little pencil icon. The keyboard shortcut is B for this. So let me just put in some random notes. Probably gonna sound ugly, but yeah. Alright, now, in order to play your MIDI clip on its own, you press this triangle button near that clip. Now that the clip is playing, but you notice that it's not playing anything. Well, that is because we have not assigned an instrument or a sample to it. So in order to do that, we go into this area called the browser. And you'll see that there are different categories such as sounds, drums, instruments, and samples. Now, for a MIDI clip, you can either put in a individual sample into this, and the MIDI will play now. And that's how it gets its noise. You can also go into the instruments, and there will be a bunch of wavetables for this. Let's see now. Let's try. Let's see something I like. Oh yeah, Ableton can get pretty extensive with its selection, so oh yeah, some of them have like full-on sequences. All right. I think yeah, I think we'll go with that one for now. So now that we see, oh, okay, that's not too bad. You'll now see that it's playing sound now that we assigned a sound to it. Now, I do think oh yeah, and you can also go here and extend and contract notes as you please. And you'll get these different sounds. Alright? And basically, one downside I think to Ableton is that the drawing is not the most user-friendly in my opinion, which is why I often either use a keyboard or a MIDI controller to play notes if I have a decent idea of what I want my melody to sound like. And so what I do is first make sure that this keyboard button is enabled. It'll be highlighted orange when it is. And I click right here to the arm recording button, which on MIDIs it will have a J in it, while in audios it will have a singular syllable or circle. So anyway, I click on this, and when I play on some keys, you'll see, you will see that they are playing. All right. And to record it in the session view, we will press this little button right here, the hollow circle. First, let me just get the, let me just get my, hands ready for this tune. Alrighty. Alrighty. You may recognize the tune. So, anyway, now we will start recording. Oh, hold up. Let me try that again. You don't have to do it perfectly, and which I will explain a little later. Let me just disable the drawing and delete all that. Now that we got it. And, oh! Oh, shoot! I forgot to mention something very important. This is your BPM. Basically, it measures the tempo of your song, which is how fast it goes. In order to change it, you bring it, you just click and drag. Just like that. And so, I think so now it's at 138. And I think I'll have it at either 120 or 126. If you want to reset it, just double click. Alright. And this is your metronome. So basically what it does is that it helps you stay on beat. And by doing a doot, 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 doot while the song is playing. And I'll describe it right now. Alright. Okay, so now that I described the metronome, like, a little late into this panel, basically, what we do, and you'll see that this isn't perfect. Alright? And so, you'll see that it's not perfectly aligned. Well, to fix that, you select your notes, right-click, and select Quantize. And again, you can also shorten these manually. And so, here, let me turn that down. And let's play it. See? Now it's perfectly in sync. Alright, so now for audio clips. I will actually try to kill two birds with one stone to try to demonstrate what the audio tracks do. So, for one, it can actually record from your microphone. You will need to set it in options, preferences, and oh, hold up. I just realized something. Just a sec. Yeah, sorry about that. Oh no. Oh. Uh. All right, we can edit that out later. So, as I was saying, you will need to set up your microphone in options, preferences, and make sure that your microphone is selected. And so now that we have that prepared, you can also have your monitor have monitoring on in your microphone, which now you could hear that. Sorry, this this is a little confusing for me, but yeah, you can see that it makes you hear your own voice. All right, so now we arm this for recording, and then we press this button again right here. When you're feeling all alone, the world's a drone, and nobody's shown any love to you. All right, now that we have that set up, oh yeah, and to mute, you notice that the little piano played while I was recording. In order to mute that, you press you see how there are numbers highlighted? Basically, pressing them to gray them out will actually mute them. And so, now it won't play. Or at least won't make the sound. It'll play, but it won't make the sound. So now that we got that down, we have our little tune right here. If you recognize the song, I Love You. But yeah. When you're feeling all alone. And so, by default, these are set to warp. And they basically allow you to stretch and shrink. Stretch and shrink your waveform to make it go faster or slower. Like this. When you're feeling all alone. And you could also have the transpose on, or the transpose knob turned up or down, and it allows you to loop them when needed. So like this. Oh jeez. No, I don't want to sound like that. So now, all right. Sorry, I just gotta think. Now that we, have that explained, oh yeah, and if you want your thing to only be the only thing playing, yep, we just press the S right here, which is solo. And so now it's the only thing playing. Alright, so now that we want to like spice up our little piano a little bit. It sounds kind of basic. Well, how we do that is with effects. And there are two types of effects: audio effects and MIDI effects. Audio effects are your traditional effects that basically come with like any DAW. But MIDI effects is something, as far as I'm aware, unique to Ableton, which is actually it actually affects how the MIDI plays out. So for now, I'll stick with audio effects for now, and once I demonstrate that, I'll show you the MIDI effects. Alright, so I think I want to have a little bit of saturation into this. So, now I just... Oh yeah, and Ableton has several presets for a lot of their effects as well. Again, like, the amount of effects that you have may vary depending on if you have Ableton Live Lite or Ableton Live Suite or something like that. So, I think I'll try this one and see how that sounds. Yeah, I think that sounds good. Or actually, let's try this one instead. Alright, yeah, with a little bit of tweaking is needed, but, yeah, I think that sounds good. And so, let's, alright. And now to demonstrate the MIDI effect. Here, let me play a long chord. Oh, whoops. Forgot to arm it. Yes, it won't work if you don't arm it. And so... Alrighty. So, let me just quantize that. Alright, and now... Let's see. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing. Ableton, along with creating your own clips, they actually provide a few clips for you. Let's see a little example right here. And you'll also see it in the drums section, where there's something similar called a drum rack, which I'll get into a little later when we start really building up our song. And the same thing goes for grooves. You'll still need to apply the instrument yourself, but there's a lot you could choose from to get started. So anyway, let's create, or let's go into sound, see what we have there. I'm trying to go for like a sort of techno song, and so let's I think that sounds pretty good. Yeah, I'll probably like really refine the song once I'm finished with this panel, but for now we'll do something like this. Yeah. Solo that, and let's see how that sounds. Yeah, sounds nice. Alright, now for the MIDI effect. And let's go for an Archiprager, which is basically probably the most obvious of the MIDI effects. Oh yeah, and to switch from effects and notes, you basically, this bottom right corner right here, this is the tab where you set your notes, and this tab right here is where you like put your instruments and audio effects. So MIDI effects, unlike the audio effects, actually go before your synth or your sample. And let's play it now. You could kind of see that it was going to sort of. I think I should probably get a better instrument to better demonstrate it. Yeah, let's go for that. All right. This is without. Now you're seeing the effects come into play. And alright. And you could also pick your style and whatnot. Yeah, just a lot of effects. It just comes with experimentation. Yeah. Alright, so now that we have all the basics of what we need to construct our clips, now it's sort of time. Now it's like time to like make a sort of blueprint of them. So let me delete that for now. And delete that. And to add tracks, all you have to do is right-click into this empty space and either select Insert MIDI track or Insert Audio track. Oh, I almost forgot. Now, before we get into the arrangement, I will discuss the purpose of the return tracks. Basically, you may want to have one singular effect be applied to multiple tracks. You could copy and then paste and the effect will be applied. But return tracks, I believe, are actually meant to save a little bit of CPU power by having them in one track and have them be distributed via the sends that you may have seen at the bottom of the track. And so, by default, Ableton gives you a reverb track and a delay track. And I will give you a little demonstration on our little melody. Alright, and so you'll see that you'll see that return tracks have a assigned letter as opposed to a number. And so basically what that is, the sends also have those letters. It basically tells you which sends are associated to which return tracks. And so A is associated with the reverb. So let's turn up A. Now you're starting to see the reverb. Alright, so yeah, that's essentially how a return track works. And to add another one, just simply right click on the empty space and insert return track. And so I will apply a little saturator here. And then, and basically the more turned up the knob is, the more potent the effect will be. And so for our little long note, we will let's add a little bit of saturation. And oh, oh yeah, one more thing about the effects. Here, let me apply another effect. Let's say a frequency shifter. Frequency shifter. There we go. The order that you place in your effects will affect how the synth sounds. So, let's oh, whoops. And so let's play it. Now this is how it... Now, watch what happens when I shift it to the back. See? Sounds different. So yes, order does matter when it comes to applying your effects. And so, now, alright, now we could finally arrange our song with what we have. And, let's say maybe I want... Alright, let's say I want to add a drum kit, which, the drum rack allows you to add different samples all in one place, essentially. I'll describe it right here. So let's get a kick real quick. And but yeah. Actually, let's do a normal kick for now. And we'll drag it right here. And create our clip. And you'll see that it's not a piano roll. It is a, it's like a little kick. And so, let me get a snare. That'll do for now. And we place it right here. And now, oh, and yes, to play a scene all at once, you basically click the play button on the master track in the scene that the clips are in, like this. Oh, whoops, like this. Alright, and you'll see that all the clips are played. Oh yeah, and to cancel out an individual clip, you just click the stop button right here to reset it entirely. But oftentimes I just press the stop button. Probably not the best workflow, but it's just what I personally do. So yeah, essentially now for the pre-made stuff, you'll see we have a lot of options. Let's see if they have a techno. Yeah, let's try that one for now. And we can go to a groove or a clip. A groove. Yeah. I don't personally use clips and grooves much. I usually make my things from scratch, but I think it could be really useful for beginning musicians. So let's see the kind they have. Yeah. And it will show up in here. Your clips and your grooves. And alright. Let's see how that sounds. Alright. Not bad. Anyway, well, alright. So I think for my purposes, a clip will be best. Yeah. Alright, now let's hear it from our scene. So now we're developing a little song. And all right, I won't go like too crazy right now since this is just educational. But we can copy and paste. We can also move around our clips, and we can, and this is actually the best time to experiment with different variants of our clips. So, example of this, and if I add a few notes to it. Oh yeah, and you can also add notes by double clicking, just like that. And yeah. Yeah, just like that. And you can maybe even increase the length of of your um your clip as well and make it 2 bars instead of just the one. And maybe we could do a little something like this. And you can even select more than one to edit them simultaneously. So anyway, Control C and Control V. Oh, whoopsie. Don't think I did it quite right. Basically, and you can also like zoom in and zoom out with any of these as well. So, so now we got something like this. Yeah, adds a little bit of variety to it. And let's see how that sounds with this scene. Yep, alrighty. Now let's develop it from here. Now I'm kind of thinking, oh yeah, and an easy way to add scenes is right click and insert scene. So I want it to start as here, possibly even, possibly starting right here, and make a little variant of our drums for a sort of build up. And so oh yeah, and you can also edit the fixed grid to determine the size of your notes by right-clicking and selecting one of these options on the fixed grid. And I think 1/8 would be good for now. Let me just zoom in. Because some of them are on this clip are a little tiny. And And let's see. All right, let me just delete these for now. Now this part is a little silent because it's kind of the arrangement part, so maybe a little bit. But if you have any questions so far, feel free to ask. All right. All right, so now that we got something, let's test that out. Oh, whoops. Let me just close these. And yeah, okay, yeah. All right. Now it's we can, let's see how that sounds. Yeah. Not perfect, but it should be good for now, so. All right. So, I think this is how I would like it to play for now. And you can also rename things as well. So, the keyboard shortcut is Control R. So I could name this intro. Really useful for labeling like the different parts of your song. So build up, and we have full. Alright, so now that we've got everything we need. Oh yeah, and in order to reset all the timing on the clips, we go to the master track and select this right there. And so now everything is back at the start. Alright. So, now, you're probably wondering at this point, how do we transfer it to the arrangement view? There are two ways you could do this. One, you can actually press this record button. You can record all of these in the order you desire into the arrangement view by pressing this record button, which is the arrangement record button. This one's the session one, but this one's the arrangement one. And that button is also what you use to record MIDIs and audio in the arrangement view. So anyway, let's go ahead and record this. Alright, now that that's recorded, we can now see it in our arrangement view. And in order to ungray these, basically, and make them selectable, we basically, because they're still playing in session view, but we right-click on this orange box right here, and voila, now it'll properly play in the arrangement view. And here, let's get rid of that. And alrighty. And you can see I can still add all my effects to here as I so wish. And now you can also still play around with things in the arrangement view. Like, let me add a little space. Now let's go to edit and select duplicate time. And you see that it's making this space. And you can also do the same with delete time. And now that and now let's experiment what we could do in the arrangement view. Let's see. Oh, one thing. This is where things get really fun. It's possibly like now FL Studio does this too, but in Ableton, in my opinion, it's way more fun. It's automation. Basically, what automation is, it basically transfers a parameter automatically. And what it does, I'll show you real quick. Let's the most common effect to use automation for is an auto filter. And let me solo this for now. And basically what I want to do is have this sort of growing feeling by having it right here at the beginning. And then grow like that. And that's how you do it with automation. Well, not yet, but basically, sorry, I just need to get my train of thought back. All right, so now, in order to enable automation, we press this little square right here, and you'll see these red dotted lines. And you'll see each of them has 2 tabs, like drop-down menus. So, the top drop-down menu is basically where you pick the effect, or the synth, or whatever that you want to have the automation in. And in this case, we want the auto filter to be automated. Oh yeah, and don't forget to turn off the drawing mode, because that will cause a bit of issues in your automation, in trying to get your automation on. So, and now the second one is the specific parameter within that effect that we want to automate. And in this case, it's our frequency, which is this thing right here. And now we make our little points. I think I wanted to start around here and have it start there. And so, watch what happens with the automation. You see, it's kind of, and you can visually see it right here too. And yeah, that is essentially what automation does. And I think I'll actually apply a little bit of automation to the melody as well. So auto filter and frequency. Now, this is not the only thing you can automate. You can automate basically anything that has a knob. Like, if it has a knob, chances are you can automate it. So, this is just the way you do it. And so, it probably won't be to the same extent, but I'll add the ending point here and the starting point right there. Oh, whoops. Yep. All right, let's see how that sounds. Oh yeah, and remember when I said you can have things loop in your in your in on your MIDIs? Well, we can have it basically go on forever as long as your looping is enabled. And the same thing goes for long samples. And see? Oh yeah, and by default, Ableton actually sets these long samples, like these drum beat samples, to the BPM of your song, which can actually be really useful. Here, I'm actually curious now. What am I going... I wonder what this would sound like. Let me just mute that for now. Not bad, not bad. Not what I'm looking for. And you can even edit your MIDIs within the arrangement view as well. Maybe I want this to be 4 bars instead of just 2. So let me just select these, and then now keep in mind that they will not transfer over to the session view. You'll have to... Oh, wait. Oh, I forgot to mention that part. Basically, the second way you can transfer your clips is you select them, click and hold, then press tab, and there they are, right there. Oftentimes, I use the latter method more, personally, but it's all up to you and what works best for your own workflow. So, yeah. Alright, anyway, as I was saying before I got sidetracked, you can edit this, and again, with the arrangement view, you can click and hold, tab, and voila! Yeah, it kind of adds that da-da-da-da at the 4-bar mark instead of the 2-bar. That way, it'll keep you a little on your toes. So, now that we got that... Alright. And of course, it's looped. Like, and this is what it looks like. Uh-oh. Alrighty, alright. Yeah, you can always Control Z when you make a mistake. So, now, I think I'm going to do a little mixing, which is basically just it's just adding more effects and uh and basically from my experience, possibly the most important effects needed for mixing is equalization, often abbreviated EQ, and compression. I won't go into them too much right now, but basically EQing is basically leveling out different frequencies, while compression is reducing dynamic levels, like dynamic volume levels. That's just kind of the basic concept of both EQing and compression. And so, yeah. Alright, so. And a general rule of thumb is often if you have a frequency boosted in one instrument, let's say I increase this frequency to around, I increase the frequencies in the 60 hertz area of this instrument, I would not do that on any other instrument. Basically the point of equalization is to kind of give room to all your instruments. And so, and you can also double click it at any time to increase the screen. Oh, and this right here is really useful. This allows you to loop your specific section of your song. And so now I'll do a bit of EQing, and just to give you an idea of, so I'm thinking, oh yeah, let me change the velocity a little bit. Basically, the velocity is basically how hard you hit the keys. And I prefer like more like consistent velocities. So for now, I will use the MIDI effect of a fixed velocity. And here's a little preset that I made that could help do that. Yeah. Maybe I want the velocity a little lower. Yep. All right. That's good for now. And so sorry, I need to catch my breath. All right. All right. So, EQing, that's what I was doing. All right. And let's do a little EQing on here. I think I want around the 300 to be boosted. Oh yeah, and oftentimes, like, you can easily cut out, like, the sub-bass frequencies. So yeah, you're starting to see that it's kind of a little more well mixed. And so for this one, I'll just use a preset cause I'm being a little lazy. But or actually, here's something really cool. Audio effects tracks, mixing and mastering. And there's a bunch of presets for a little audio rack, which is kind of an all-in-one solution for effects. And so let's see what we want. Let's try this one. Yeah, you'll see that there's like a bunch of like little effects within this one effect. And that's really useful if you're just feeling kind of lazy. Oh, whoops. And now let's add a bit of EQ. And, alrighty. Alright, so let me add a little compression to make it sound a little less dynamic. Let's see, compression. Again, compression and EQing are often effects that you'll use a lot in your mixing and mastering, which mastering I will get to pretty soon. Yeah. I won't cover like the nitty-gritty of the compression, but yeah. Kind of like, this is kind of the mixing press. So yeah, alright. Now, one last thing is the master track. This, you apply your audio effects just like you would on any of the other tracks, but this one affects the entire song. And I'll show you with the frequency shifter. Let's see now. Alright. But yeah, you see how it's affecting the whole song. And that's where a little bit of our and this is where what's called mastering. It's basically where you make the final touches on your song and kind of mixing it all together. So, and the audio racks have a little thing have a little audio effect rack that helps with mixing and mastering. So Ableton has a lot of tools that you could use to get started, like a lot of templates too. So that I think is pretty neat. So let's see how that sounds. Oh, that is aggressive. Oh yeah, limiting. That is also important in your mastering. So let me grab a limiter. Basically, what the limiter does is help you increase the volume of your song without it clipping. And clipping is something you do not want in your song or your mix. Oftentimes, it's a good idea to leave a little headroom, around like 3 decibels low for each. And yeah. That way, like it could give a lot more room to prevent like over limitation. And that, let me just tell you, over limiting does not sound good. And so let's see now. Yeah, so alright, not perfect, but I think it gets the job done nicely for this little crash course. So now that we semi-finished our song, now it's time to export it. So we did a little bit of half-assed mixing and mastering. So now we select, in order to export, you select all of this, go to File, Export Audio. And now you're given a lot of options to, for some things. I won't go through all of them, but once you are happy with everything, you click Export, and it will show you it'll show you the file where you go into File Explorer and select where you want your file to be exported. And so for now, I'll call this one Ableton 101 test. And we click save. Alrighty, so, and there you have it. That is how you can use Ableton Live to make music. And if there are any questions, now is a great time to ask them. And Bellyobs Fox asked, what kinds of audio software would be useful in conjunction with Ableton Live? Well, Ableton Live is compatible with a lot of VST plugins, such as Serum, which is a synth plugin, and Serum and Vital. And so you can use those in place of the default instruments. And so, yeah. You can also record your vocals in Audacity if you so wish. Or maybe you can even... Some people have actually managed how to use FL Studio and Ableton Live simultaneously. So we got that too. And yeah, Do we have any more questions? Yeah. I mean, sorry if my panel was it became like a bit of like rambling near the end, but basically, yeah. Um all right. So, all right. I are you sure there's no more last questions? Um Alrighty then. Well, thank you for attending my panel, and I'll see you guys later. Feel free to DM me about anything if you have any further questions. So, anyway, thank you all for partaking. Bye.